Hey, what's up, everyone? This is MusicTechHelpGuy, and yes, I am speaking to you through a pair of headphones. How does this work? How is this even possible? Well, this works because headphones, like microphones, are transducers, or at least the small speaker drivers in the headphones are transducers. A transducer is just a device that can convert one type of energy into another type of energy. And just like a microphone, the headphones are able to convert sound pressure waves from my mouth into electrical energy. Although headphones and other speaker drivers typically work the other way around. They convert electrical voltages into sound pressure waves. Microphones are transducers too. Typically, they are dynamic, ribbon, or condenser mics, and the type of mic describes the physical element through which the microphone picks up sound. With dynamic mics, it's a moving coil diaphragm. With ribbon mics, it's a thin ribbon of pure aluminum that's only a few microns thick. And with condenser mics, these use a capacitor type of diaphragm capsule. In the case of dynamic and ribbon mics, these are actually just miniature sound-driven electrical generators. Imagine a wind turbine or a dam. These are electrical generators because some outside force or energy moves a turbine, the wind from the air, or a focused stream of water coming through the dam. The turbine is the moving part of the electrical generator. With microphones, the fluid is sound pressure, and the turbine is the diaphragm, ribbon, or capacitor. And in the case of dynamic and ribbon mics, these are actually capable of generating an output voltage with no power requirements. Again, we're converting sound pressure waves into a voltage. With condenser mics, these operate a little differently, which is why they require phantom power or a separate power supply. The capsule in the mic is supplied with a 48-volt phantom power. It vibrates sympathetically to sound pressure waves, and the change in pressure inside of the capsule is what generates an audio signal. Even though it operates a little differently, it's still a transducer. The reason why I decided to make this video is because one of my good friends sent me this awesome video this morning about how they got one of the vocal effects on Stone Temple Pilots' Dead and Bloated.
Let's go. I am smelling like the roses somebody gave me 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
Scott Weiland is singing into a Gibson guitar pickup for the effect. So how is this possible? Well, just like microphones and headphones, speaker drivers and guitar pickups are also transducers. I haven't really gotten to use a guitar pickup as a microphone in the studio before, but I have used headphones and speaker cabs. So in this video, I wanted to demonstrate some of these alternative pickup methods with alternative transducers for recording. But before I do that, I've got to take a quick break to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Boombox. Boombox is the ultimate collaboration and file storage tool for musicians, songwriters, bands, and music producers. You can upload audio files one at a time, or batch upload for sharing stems, multi-tracks, and even full DAW sessions. Upload from the Boombox web app or use the Boombox Sync app for macOS to upload directly from your computer. You can invite collaborators who can then leave time-stamped feedback on your tracks. I use this for things like production notes and mix revisions. And it's especially helpful when you're working with a band or multiple musicians, each who have their own ideas about the project. If you're ready to give Dropbox the boot, head over to boombox.io today and sign up to get 4 gigabytes of free storage. Okay, so let's get back to the headphones. What do you need to make this work? Well, you need headphones with a 1/4-inch adapter, a direct box or DI box as I call them, a microphone cable, and an audio interface with a mic preamp. You can alternatively hook up your DI box to an outboard mic preamp as well. So I'll plug the headphone jack into the DI box input, then the output of the DI box is going into channel 2 on my Symphony IO. You're going to need quite a bit of preamp gain to make this work, and I highly recommend using a DI box that has a ground lift because you'll likely get some noise, especially with the guitar pickup, which I'll demonstrate later. Okay, so I've got everything set up. Let's try that same STP line into the headphones.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
Yeah, so this is like a totally cool and usable effect. I will say that I like doing this with headphones more so than with a speaker or the guitar pickups, and you'll find out why in just a bit, which is why I put the headphone example first, because you can get sort of a similar effect with less hassle. This thing can definitely benefit from some EQ. So I think what I'm going to do is add the channel EQ on here in Logic, and I'm just going to like maybe cut the low end a little bit.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave.
Because what you're going to find is the headphones are surprisingly sensitive to the proximity effect. So I don't recommend singing directly into one of the headphones. I recommend just kind of singing into them off axis. Try adding a little bit of like mid-range boost as well.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me, 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
And I've got the signal level pretty loud. The recording level is almost peaking. And I did that on purpose because we want the recording level to be as high as possible, because if you try to add gain later, you're just going to bring up the noise in the signal. You know, this is probably the cleanest of the three examples, so you don't want to end up with like a really like small waveform and then boost the gain later, because that's just going to boost the noise.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me, 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
Next up, let's try a speaker cabinet. Here I'm using a Hughes & Kettner 1x12 speaker cabinet. Now, this will actually work with any speaker that's wired up properly, not just guitar and bass cabs. The speaker cabinet is just a convenient way to do this because it simplifies it a bit, because it's already wired up with a 1/4-inch output. So I'm just going to take a 1/4-inch cable and plug the output of the cabinet into the DI box. And I'm using a balanced connector here, but you don't have to. A normal unbalanced guitar cable will work just fine.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me, 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
This one's a little deeper and darker sounding, again, because we're talking about a 12-inch speaker as opposed to a tiny little headphone speaker. So the larger the driver, the deeper the pickup, the more, I guess, bass focused it's going to be. Definitely need some EQ, just like with the headphones.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling.
Yeah, it's clipping there because, once again, the recording level is really high. You have to do it that way, once again, because otherwise you introduce noise by adding gain later.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed.
I almost wonder if I boost the kind of mid-top range and then scoop out the mid-range, if that will make it sound a little less stuffy.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me, 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
Yeah, definitely not going to be able to get as much of a top-end response from this without maybe adding a high shelf or something.
I am.
Yeah, and even then, because the speaker itself is rolling off at a certain point, it doesn't matter how much of a shelf you add in here, you're not really going to get much more of that top end.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed.
Most of it's rolling off, somewhere between the 4 and 6K range. So another cool recording hack, but honestly, I like the headphone approach better. Now, you've probably all seen the Yamaha Subkick or something similar. These look like a small drum shell on a stand with the speaker driver inside, and that's really what it is. Because the speaker driver is much larger than a microphone element, it picks up lower frequencies better. So these are typically used to just add a little bit of sub bass to your kick drum, but it's not a replacement for a kick mic. If you have a guitar or bass speaker cabinet lying around, you can actually use this in the same way. So let's take this same setup and set it in front of a kick drum. Lastly, let's try out the STP method with a guitar pickup. With guitar pickups, it's the same setup. Plug the guitar into the DI box with any guitar cable and plug the DI box into a preamp. You're probably going to have to add quite a bit more gain for this, and you'll likely have to do some noise reduction and gain boosting in post as well. You'll also get different sounds from different guitar pickups, although if you do use this effect in a studio recording, I would recommend taking the strings off of the guitar to reduce any sympathetic vibrations the strings might cause.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me, 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
Okay, so now that my voice is thoroughly blown out for the day, I did want to mention that I had to add 30 dB of gain to this to boost it up, and I had to add a ton of effects to get it to sound even halfway decent. I think there are some different considerations here. One, I'll just reiterate that I think the headphone option is still the better option for this type of effect. It's just way easier to set up. It doesn't require as much gear, and it also doesn't require you to cut the strings off of your guitar. And there's also going to be a hell of a lot less noise involved. With the headphones and the speaker cab, I was able to get a much better result straight out of the recording without having to add any effects. Two, the pickup you use is really going to matter here. You probably noticed that the guitar changed from the first shot to the second shot, and that was because I initially tried it with my Schecter C1 that has these covered pickups. Did not work. I could barely hear anything. So I went to a different guitar that has more of an exposed metal on the pickup there. So that worked a little bit better. Also, I have a feeling that active pickups will work a heck of a lot better for this. And I also feel like if you were to plug this into an amp, like on a clean setting or a slight crunch setting, or even run the guitar through like a drive pedal or something like that, it would help boost the signal. There was a heck of a lot of noise in the signal that you can see here. So without using RX10 spectral denoise, that's how much noise was in there. So I'm denoising it. I'm adding a channel EQ to scoop out the bottom end and top end and really boost the mid bottom end. And I'm also using RVox from Waves to sort of gate some of the noise in between the words. And then I'm adding a brick wall limiter to just kind of bring out the softer parts. So it really took a lot of extra work in post to get this to even sound passable.
I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. I am smelling like the rose that somebody gave me, 'cause I'm dead and bloated.
So again, if you want this kind of effect, I would recommend just using headphones. It'll get you pretty close to this. It definitely has a different tone to it, but it requires so much work in post to clean it up. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this fun little off-the-cuff video. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these. And if you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. As always, thank you so much for the support, and thanks for watching.